Hey travelers, welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. I'm Mercy, and today we're talking about how to roleplay an evil character in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. What makes a character evil? To play an evil character, do you have to literally murder every NPC that you come across? You can make that choice if that's what you want to do. I would suggest that there are a lot of other more interesting ways to play an evil character. So you could be a mercenary or an assassin, but you could be a con artist. Maybe you go town to town selling your miracle cure, like snake oil that you know doesn't do anything, and con sickly peasants out of their money. Like, that's pretty evil. There are lots of options. So if you just broaden your thinking a little bit, you don't necessarily have to just murder everyone with no like clear and defined motivation. I don't think that that's the best choice to make necessarily. So even if you are a killer, like an assassin or a mercenary, there is like a rhyme and a reason to that. You do it for money. You kill specific people that you're hired to kill. So there are just other ways to think about it than just like pure murder hobo. Now, a really, really important part of playing an evil character is understanding that regardless of how big of a monster you are to all the NPCs in the whole world, like, you can lie to, backstab, ruin their plans, rob them, like do whatever you want to literally anyone except for your own party. And that's really, really important. Because if you are constantly undermining everything that your friends, like the other players at the table, are trying to do, even if you're like, oh, it's not me doing it, it's my character doing it, they're still not going to want to play with you. Like, it's going to kind of ruin the game for everybody else. So there are ways to justify it in character, to justify going with the party's plans and not ruining things for them, no matter how evil your character is. So for example, I have a character who's an evil warlock that is completely selfish, totally self-obsessed, but she knows that by taking care of and like protecting her party members, and by not doing anything that's gonna like really make them mad at her, they'll keep her around and they'll protect her because she's a squishy caster who doesn't have that much HP. So it's in her best interest to not make them hate her. So it's still a selfish motivation, but now that solved the problem where if one of my friends goes down in combat, I'm not going like, I don't know, would my character give them a healing potion or would they just let them die? That's not how you play the game. Another example is Onog actually has a character who's an assassin who is evil, like he kills people for money, that's pretty evil, but he doesn't just randomly murder his own friends and party members. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So even though he's evil, we can all still trust him. So whatever reason you come up with to justify that for yourself, at the end of the day, you're playing a cooperative game. So if you make a character who, based on their backstory and everything about them, you are determined that they would never ever work with a team and get along with a party or be trustworthy in any way, then in my personal opinion, I'd say that you are more than welcome to do a Skyrim playthrough as that character, or maybe even like get a DM to agree to do a one-on-one campaign with you, but that's just not gonna work in a team. That's not gonna work in a party. And I also think that there is a difference if the whole party is evil or if you're the only evil one. So if the entire party is evil and an NPC looks at you funny and you say, I'm gonna murder him, sure, like, go for it, I guess. But if you're the only evil one in the party and everyone else, they're all lawful good paladins, and then you just decide to like stab an NPC for no like really justified reason in front of all of them, you've put them in a really awkward position, like, as players, because how are they supposed to respond to that in a way that is in character for them, that doesn't ruin the dynamic of it being a cooperative game where you're all supposed to be on the same team? You can have disagreements and your characters can have debates, but at the end of the day, you're not playing the game against each other, and so you don't want to put your party members in a situation where they feel like they have to. And so sometimes there's frustration because you think, but my character would kill that NPC for looking at them funny. And they would if they weren't surrounded by all these guys, because your character knows, like, your character understands that that action is not gonna like go over well for them in present company. So then maybe instead of killing them, which they wish they could do, they pull out their journal and they add their name to the list of all the people they will get their vengeance on one day when they've taken over the world with their zombie army. Another good question to ask yourself when you're playing an evil character to make them a little bit more fleshed out and more interesting is, are there any lines that they wouldn't cross? Do they have their own moral code and limits? And maybe the answer is no, like my character would do literally anything to get what they want. They have no line, and that's fine. But maybe you say, okay, well, my character's a con artist, and they are probably like responsible for people's deaths if you look at it in a certain way, but they've never just like directly like murdered someone, and like they don't probably really have that in them. Or maybe they're an assassin, or like they're a mercenary and they kill people, but like they wouldn't ever like let a child be harmed on their watch. Like, so are there lines that your character wouldn't cross? Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any of your own thoughts or questions about how to play an evil character, go ahead and comment that below. I'd be very interested to see what you guys have to say. We post new D&D content every Thursday, so be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.